What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
We back to bring you another episode of the Disability News Report.
Yes.
I'm Garrison Redd.
And I'm Garfield Williams.
And we are going to give you the news like y'all never seen it before. There's been a lot of things happening in the disability community. For certain, one of the things that I just recently participated in was this event called Take a Look at This Heart, where we discuss some of the hardships individuals with disabilities go through trying to find a loved one or someone to, spend their life with. So it was real good to speak about sex and relationships and things of that nature.
Great documentary.
Yeah, great documentary. We really learned a lot, and it was a great experience to serve on the panel. So, Garfield, you want to kick it off and let the world know what's going on out here?
Yes, I'm going to start it off for them. Does special ed serve students? Disability activist says no. This article is brought to you by thetruth.org. Under the current special education system, students with disabilities tend to get segregated into classrooms with fewer resources. Here, Chicagoans protest cuts in special education on August 26, 2015. As a child born with cerebral palsy in the 1950s, Gail Corinette Cohn had one option when she was old enough to go to school: enroll in an isolated public program specifically for kids with disabilities. There was no interaction with no disabled kids, and there were just 3 classrooms: one for kindergarten through 2nd grade, another for grades 3 through 5, and third for 6th to 8th grade. Occupational therapy as well as physical therapy and speech therapy were provided on site, and although Cartoon Khan described the education she received as better than adequate, when it was time for her to enroll in high school, she said she was clueless about what to expect. I was academically prepared, but I don't even know what ringing bells meant. She told Truth Out. On the first day I was there, the bell rang, and all of a sudden there was an onslaught of students rushing out. I used crutches, and the next thing I knew, I was down for the count, lying on the floor. While Cartoon Khan's nearly trampled led to being given both an elevator key and permission to leave her class 5 minutes early, it was clear that the school had given little thought to educating students with limited mobility. Since Cartoon Khan persisted, not only graduated but eventually enrolled in college and completing a master's in speech and language disorders, she subsequently got her teaching certificate, taught by 33 years, and presently on board as of an upstate New York advocacy group called Westchester Disability on the Move. As Cartoon Khan describes her achievements, she also recognized that had she been born decades later, she would have benefited from legislative changes that began nearly 50 years ago. Among them, the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, Section 504, which stipulates that any program receiving federal monies is barred from excluding people with disabilities from participating in activities. A later bill, 1975 Education for All Handicapped Children Act, further mandated that public schools provide equal access to education to all children, whether their disabilities are physical, emotional, or intellectual.
Yeah, I definitely gotta comment on this. Let us know what you think, especially if you have a disability.
Yes.
I want to know how y'all feel about, how education systems is working, towards y'all, or how it's treating y'all.
And how we can improve it.
Yeah, definitely. So we need y'all to comment and let us, give us some ideas. Mm-hmm. That way we can forward it up to the correct people. And hopefully we can be the force in leading towards a change in whatever hardships y'all facing with going to school, since we all got to go to school.
Yes.
All right. So this next article comes from the website The Conversation. And the Morrison government has finally agreed to a royal commission into the abuse of people living with disability, if the states get on board. After hearing horrific tales of abuse and neglect in the media this week, it's easy to understand why the government waived the motion through Parliament that some of our most vulnerable citizens have been beaten, raped, and even killed at the hands of those supposedly caring for them. The statistics are alarming. Up to 90% of women with disability have been sexually assaulted, and people with disability are 3 times as likely to die prematurely than the general population from causes that could have been prevented with better quality care. But to provide victims with justice, we need to better understand why people with disabilities are most vulnerable to abuse and assault. There's no reason. There are lots of theories as to why people with disabilities are at an increased risk of victimization. Some scholars suggest it's because people with disability are more likely to be economically disadvantaged, making them more vulnerable to crimes. They say it's social disadvantage and not disability per se that leads to higher rates of assault. But this doesn't explain high rates of abuse even when people with disability are well resourced or who live in privileged areas. Then there's the dependency stress theory. This suggests that because people with disability often need carers, their carers get stressed and sometimes act aggressively in response to demands. This doesn't stack up well either. It seems to blame the victim. If only you didn't need so much. And attributing abuse of people with disability to carer stress probably wouldn't be helpful in reducing rates of assault. Yeah, that's very alarming. People are supposed to be taken care of and treated fairly,
Yes.
with or without a disability. So the fact that you find someone vulnerable, that doesn't give you the right to, take advantage, take your anger out on them. So what I would like for anybody out there that's been abused or knows someone that's been abused, please give us your take on this.
Yes.
So that way we could look more into it.
I mean, if you can, just speak up on your situation if you've been abused. I mean, the more you speak up, the more we can all work together and get this taken care of. This is something real serious, and there's nothing to play with.
Yeah, so definitely reach out to us in regards to this issue right here.
Okay, from Variety.com, dreaming of a Hollywood ending for actors with disabilities. Picture a world in which an actor with a disability wins an Academy Award. Sadly, that storyline remains no more than a Hollywood fantasy. In recent years, the Oscar So White trending hashtag campaign has shed light on the lack of diversity in the movie industry. Yet ahead of this year's Oscars on February 24th, society's definition of diversity is all too often remains narrow and only encompassed race and ethnicity. Ever since Dustin Hoffman won Best Actor in 1989 for playing a protagonist with autism in Rain Man, about half of the Best Actors winning have also portrayed people with disabilities or illnesses. Yet it's alarming that Hollywood seems to greatly value stories of disabilities without actually employing actors, directors, storytellers, or technicians with disabilities. Year in and year out, actors without disabilities are nominated for playing characters with disabilities. Most recently, Sally Hawkins in The Shape of Water and Eddie Redmayne in The Theory of Everything. Meanwhile, according to the Redman Family Foundation study, 95% of television characters with disabilities are played by able-bodied actors. The Upside, which cast Bryan Cranston as a quadriplegic millionaire, and the latest blockbuster capitalizing on stories of disability without casting an actor with a disability to portray a character authentically. This is a clear missed opportunity to promote inclusion, cast, and affirm that artists with disabilities will always be the expert of a disability experience. There are so many qualified actors with disabilities out there. Why didn't the Upside choose a proactively advance diversity of value that so many of us purport to cherish? We actually talked about that when you was on the panel for the documentary.
Take a Heart. And that's very alarming that there's so many individuals that are disabled and do have the ability to act. I will be one of them. Yeah, Hollywood is just not, I don't know if they're not ready. I don't know if they feel that people with disabilities is still a liability. I'm not sure what the case is because I'm not the person pulling the strings, but I do feel that we should have a greater representation in Hollywood, being that we are firsthand experts and we do have the capabilities like anyone else to carry out certain roles, especially when they deal with a disability.
Yes.
We don't have to act it out. We can live it. And that's the key. So hopefully, if we all band together and keep pushing, one of these days you're going to see a influx of individuals with disabilities in the acting world.
Yes, that should be great. I mean, when that happens.
Now, on to something cool. Gatorland. Disability-friendly zip line offers thrills over alligators in Orlando. For 2 decades, Wheeler's Clemens has spent days in a wheelchair. On Friday morning, he was lifted from the chair to fly, wide-eyed and yelling woohoo over a marsh populated with more than 100 watchful alligators. Clemens was the first official participant on the Gator Gauntlet, a specially designed disability-enabled zip line in Gatorland, longtime animal attraction in South Orlando. So yeah, that's real interesting.
He's brave.
He's brave. I don't know if I'll do that zip line, but what I recently did, well, not too long ago, I travel up escalators and things of that nature. I think that's as crazy I would get, but there's also skydiving.
You would do that?
I don't know if I'm the type to do skydiving.
Bungee jumping?
Nah, that's too much height. Because, it's too much that could go wrong. Like, skydiving, you got to pull a cord.
Sky Zone? The stuff that...
Maybe Sky Zone
with
the kids.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
You can't hurt yourself.
No, you can't.
And the ground is soft. As long as the ground is soft, then.
Yeah.
But I'm about to go to the Olympics. I can't be in the air like that. It's too much that could go wrong.
Unless it's on the plane.
Yeah. Just the plane, and that's as far as I would go. But more power to anybody want to zip line over alligators. I respect it. And good luck.
Yes.
I just hope nothing malfunctions.
Okay, here with some international news. In 2012, Dr. Teo Chin Sim reached a turning point in her life. She was at the Paralympics for the first time as Team Singapore Chief Medical Officer for the London Games. And the experience proved to be insightful over 19 days. She mingled with more than 4,000 para-athletes and was once amongst a few able-bodied individuals in the dining hall. The 54-year-old told the Sunday Times last Friday, "When I was in the dining hall, I thought, who is normal and who is abnormal now? That's when something clicked in me and I realized that it's not about normal or abnormal. It's about what do you do with what you have." As inspired, Dr. Teo reached from London, wanted to contribute towards the disabled community in Singapore, but no one pointed her in the right direction. So she just decided in 2016 to start a Play Buddy project with physiotherapists who wanted to work with children. It is a free volunteer-based program with children with disabilities. They meet to play sports every Saturday morning. They learn a sport for 4 to 8 weeks before moving on to another. It's different from therapy because in a sporting event, they are starting to become competitive, which motivates them to keep moving, says Dr. Teo, who gave a talk on transforming the disabled at the CareHab Medical Conference yesterday. She worked with a core group of 3 physiotherapists and primary school teacher who handles the administrative work, equipment, and location support come from national athletes such as Bola, Shengnan Ying, and the women's rugby team. While Play Buddy hosts only 6 to 8 children regularly, Dr. Teo said, "My vision is to have 50 to 100 children playing together." Now that's really touching. I like what Dr. Teo did back in 2012 for the kids in Singapore. And a lot more programs like this should be held all over. And I mean, that's what we want to do. Just cater to the disabled community, especially the kids, and just, let them enjoy life and motivate them to do whatever they want, and with limitations.
Exactly. And I like how she said when she was in the dining hall, she couldn't distinguish who was disabled, normal, and who was abnormal because of the fact that she was with nothing but disabled individuals for the duration of her trip.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Now, segue to the next part is a little bit of sports. I'm going to tell you, over the weekend, I just had the experience of competing in my first para-powerlifting meet and qualifying to go to Kazakhstan and Peru. So, the sport of para-powerlifting, as many of y'all don't know, made its debut as a medal sport at the second Paralympic Games back in 1964. It initially offered only to lifters with spinal cord injuries, but the sport grown to include numerous disability groups, as well as assimilate rules similar to those of non-disabled lifters. From 1992 to 1996, the number of participating countries more than doubled. Ever since, that number has risen to include 109 countries and is the fastest growing Paralympic sport in the world. Athletes draw lots to determine order of weigh-in and lifts. After athletes are categorized within the 10 different weight classes, male and female, they each lift 3 times, competing in their respective weight class. The heaviest good lift within the weight class is the lift used for final placing in the competition. Paralympic powerlifting competition is open to male and female athletes with physical disabilities such as dwarfism, amputation, limb loss, spinal cord injury, wheelchair users, cerebral palsy, brain injury, stroke. This week I was fortunate enough to compete and qualify for Team USA in para-powerlifting, which is a great accomplishment for me, being that I have only been competing in powerlifting since May of 2018. However, in my mind, I have been training all my life. So, and that's the motto I live by. And, so with that said, I mean, I've been officially training since, I would say, around July. My first competition I did was like a mock meet back in May, which got my name out there. And, it's an incredible sport. The reason why I like it, unlike other sports where it's a lot of endurance involved, it's endurance involved, but it's more just strength. So you got to lift the bar in 3 seconds, and that's that. And that's the goal. So
as clean as possible.
Yeah, as clean as possible, which I'll show you. I'll show videos of it. In my previous video on YouTube, I do have a clip of what, the powerlifting looked like, especially para-powerlifting. However, I'm looking forward to the future in para-powerlifting. I know there's a lot of competition, but in my mind, I'm the best in the world. So I'm not too concerned about the competition. The competition need to be concerned about me.
You know, I Googled Quantum Leap the other day, and your name popped up. Quantum Leap.
What's that?
You never heard of Quantum Leap? It's like you see how a short period of time you started lifting and voila, you're competing.
Oh.
It's like you jump far in
Yeah.
a quick, in the quick time. A lot of people probably did this for
10
plus years.
Yeah, I know that. Well, you know what it is? If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So that was the key. So for everybody out there, whatever your goal is, whatever you want to do in life, just know that you could do it if you put your hard work into it, if you stay dedicated, stay consistent, and trust the process. Like, when I say no days off, I really go to the gym and every day. Like, I don't take a day off because I know for a fact that, like he said, there's people that have been training for 10 years in this specific sport. So if I don't take a day off, that's how I catch up the hours that they put in.
3, 2, 1. Pause. Start.
That we bring awareness, we provide motivation to show individuals that no matter what you're going through in life, it's only temporary.
Yes.
So, yeah, definitely subscribe. My Instagram is Big Money G. If you would like to add me, the information will be in the bio, and Garfield will give you his info.
And mine says I love the dough.
Yeah, so we're going to have all of that in the bio. The website is thegarrisonredproject.org. We're still raising money for children with disabilities to provide them with assistive equipment. That way, they can live to their fullest ability.
Yes.
So, yeah, till next time, peace. We got a workout video coming for y'all. Got a lot of content. We just showing off. Catch y'all later. Stay blessed.